guess what? Some progress. My facelift D2 carbon trim, after having sat inbound into customs since June 19th, today it is now officially at a USPS distribution dealer, or distribution center, so should be making its way soon. And it's in. Look at how much more space there is. Exhaust should be a lot easier to get on. Even just the top bell housing bolts, which you used to have to reach from the top with the auto, I was able to get them just fine here. So I've got the connectors hooked up, the old auto stuff just kind of pulled away, new motor mounts, speed sensor, the F125 switch up here, that reached just fine, same as the speed sensor. Make sure to put your crank position sensor in, kind of hard to tell from there, but the trans came with a little spacer, I don't know, probably like 2 mil thick. Make sure to use that because I tested with and without it, and without it, it was touching the flywheel, which you don't want. So, quick way to destroy a sensor by firing it up with that. So, put the little spacer in. Still need to bleed the slave. So the line up there, so that unfortunately won't reach. So, but I definitely probably didn't need 2 feet of this. Probably just 8 inches to a foot would have worked. So I'm gonna route this further up and then bring it back down to make sure it's routed away from the exhaust. Got the shift linkage set up and adjusted. It's shifting pretty good to my liking. You know, we'll see how things are with the fluid lined up. Reverse is a little bit of a shove to get it in, but I don't know if that's the crossbar that needs adjusted, but gets all the other gears fine. Just reverse. You gotta really kind of slam it in there. But we'll see how the height is. So this is a little high, and I tried to. So somebody had previously said that they just, you know, took a die and tried to thread it further, but the issue I found was right underneath the factory threads, the shaft diameter gets a little larger, and that diameter is actually just too large for my die. So I really couldn't extend it more than about 1 thread. I would like to bring it down, so well, we'll see. I'll drive with it as is, and maybe I can take, so this is like an M12 by 1.5, I think. Maybe I can take a 13 by 1.5 so I have the same pitch, and see if I can pre-thread this and then pass over it with the 12mm. I don't know if that'll work, but I might go buy a M13 die to try that. A couple notes when you're adjusting. So you can adjust both of the splines and slots in the linkage, but then this base plate and everything kind of has some slop too. So the gold part has some slop in the whole plate, and then if you just loosen the two rear of this gold plate, you can actually slide just the stabilizer bar left or right. So once I kind of fine-tuned the adjustment, or roughly set the adjustment with the splines in the shift linkage, which only gives you so much resolution, and then I did the fine-tuning with the plate there. So next up, I think, is the slave cylinder, and then axles. Got new engine mounts in. Still need to hook up the snub mount, and then I can start working on drive shaft, because I got the, what I was saying, why you might want to, well, I guess the drive shaft here, this isn't going to get in your way of your linkage. It's actually pretty convenient with it there, but you certainly want to adjust that linkage before the exhaust gets installed, because that's going to come down right here. So choose your order. Okay, slave hooked up. If I can squeeze the camera in here. So slave there. So I don't know if you can see way up top there, I've got it fastened to one of the brake lines, supported up above, and then some slack going over the top of the trans. Got the angle, so sit like that, but I'm going to hang it down here so I can bleed it first, because it's a lot easier to reach the bleed screw here than it is on top of the trans. So once that's bled, I shall have a functioning clutch. Alright, it's Friday. No more engine support. Is today the day? I hope so. I think so. Hopefully I didn't just jinx myself, but so I think the big thing today is axles. Need to rebuild the axles, swap the outer ends on, then those can go in with the wheel bearings, and then it's just drive shaft, exhaust, and I got to do the clutch switch. So there's updated list. Doesn't look like there's that much off, but some of these things I haven't done yet. But a lot of these things are small things, and some of the things, like since my trim is still coming, I don't want to put the center console fully back together, just because I definitely need the side panels off to be able to get the trim on and off. So I might put together some of the center console, although I got to get to the rear too for the seat heater trim. But we'll see. So I might leave some of the interior kind of chaotic and go test drive it, and then once my trim comes in, I'll finish it off. So that's the plan. Hopefully by the end of the day we'll be starting it up, and with any luck taking a test drive. Wish me luck. Okay, rebuilding CVs. This is a nasty job, just because they're always full of nasty old grease, and you got to get through all of that. And it's all behind the boots. Well, I guess if you have a really bad axle, you might not have any in there if you had a torn boot. But a couple things I like to do, so I like to do it outside, because this is going to get nasty. Like I said, it'll get crap all over your floor. Really like these jaw horse stands. This just allows you to hold it and quickly move it, orient it, and just clamp it on there. Probably need like 10 bottles of brake cleaner. And then I like to use a bucket. So then you can just put it beneath and soak the hell out of things and just let all the crappy grease. So this is a bucket I've used before to rebuild CVs. So I won't show you exactly how to redo them. There's lots of videos on YouTube, but basically you need to cut the band clamp off the boot, and the old boots you can just like literally cut them apart. And then inside here there's some circlips, and that'll get the actual CV off the axle. Did I mention how nasty of a job this is yet? It is gross. But I got one axle disassembled, got the D2 outer, so we're going to clean that up, get it completely clean so I can put fresh grease in it. Not mix anything, but that's all nasty. As you can see, there's just grease splattered all over the ground. So this is why I recommend doing it outside. So one disassembled, now to put it back together and then do another. But I've already gone through 2 or 3 cans of brake cleaner. I might need to go get some more, so we'll see. Alright, got one of the D2 outers put back together. So they take a little fixing to go in. So kind of like some of these you have to put in upside down to get them in, and then you rotate them back over. So it kind of takes a little bit to get back in there, and then you can slide the balls in. I don't like to use the grease that comes with the rebuild kits, just because, I don't know, it seems cheap. You know what it is. I've had really good luck with this liquid moly, so recommend picking that up. So we're gonna fill this bad boy up and then start putting it back in the axle and put the boots on. Alright, got the wheel bearing and hub here. Just wanted to show you a little trick. Just because of the hub, it's kind of a pain to try and put this in a press and support the bearing while not supporting the hub, and then pressing in on the inside of the hub, so then you can press the hub off of the wheel bearing, because you got new wheel bearing there. Now these are nice and easy because they bolt to the car, but you still got to get the hub separated. So what I've done is I have a bearing splitter, and I put it in between the bearing and the hub, but I don't actually use the bearing splitter to do anything. It's just solely as something to push against. So I put the old wheel bearing bolts in, and then I am slowly, gradually threading each side to then push down on the bearing splitter, which then pushes down on the hub, and then that is slowly separating the two. And then you can use to put the hub back onto the new wheel bearing, you can use your standard press, or you can use probably what I'll do is I've got a wheel bearing press that just uses a threaded rod that goes through the center. That's just a little easier than using the hydraulic press, and these are usually pretty they're usually not too hard to get apart, so the threaded rod usually works just fine. So I am going to press this apart, and then I'll show you the end result. Bam! There we go. Came out cleanly. I don't have a outer race I have to separate. Wheel bearing stayed intact. Hub is clean and ready to go. So there's the new bearing. So this is the kit I was talking about. So you just put your corresponding race adapter on, and then one of these, and you thread the rod through the whole thing, then it pulls it together. Alright, got it pressed on there. So that is ready to install into there, and then we'll put the axle in. So I did look it up, and it's the right side axle that needs a spacer. So we will install that now. Alright, axle is in. Remember, torque your axle bolt once you have wheels back on it and the car's back on the ground. I think the torque spec is 200 Newton meters plus 90 degrees, so you're very highly unlikely to be able to torque that without a wheel and a tire on the ground. So snug it in there as good as you can, then put the tires on, but make sure before you drive you torque that back on. Got the lower shock mount mounted back on there, and there's the drive shaft spacer. So worked out real nice, perfect length. So you can kind of see side-by-side comparison. The reason you need the spacer on this side is because I think you got the center diff that gravitates towards the left side of the car, so that side's shorter and longer, shorter from the center of the diff, and then you need the regular shorter axle on that side. So I'm gonna go rebuild the driver's side and then put it in. Both axles are in. Both freshly rebuilt, and drive shaft is in. Still got to torque this, and then I'll probably do clutch and brake flush before I put the exhaust on, but it's coming together.